It's time for another old geezer rant here. Today I'm going to be talking about teaching self-defense, or more specifically, teaching women self-defense. This is something I absolutely hate doing, and I'm going to tell you why. I love and hate it. I have mixed emotions. But first of all, let's understand what teaching self-defense is. Because I love teaching combatives. I love teaching martial arts. Those are different than self-defense. Self-defense comes from a legal term where you are admitting guilt in assaulting someone and claiming that it was justifiable. So if you are teaching self-defense, you need to be teaching use of force models, how to scale your use of force, what is appropriate force, what your local legal guidelines are about self-defense, what you have the right to do in your society that you live in, how personal boundaries and those kinds of things do more for keeping us safe. If you're teaching women self-defense, you need to be teaching that the person that they need to defend themselves against is likely going to be someone that they love and care for, that it's a family member or a trusted friend or a co-worker. But this idea of a stranger being a threat is statistically not very likely. It's more likely that it is somebody in their circle. Then you have to adjust the training to fit that kind of scenario. If your whole training is about physicality and you're high-fiving afterwards, you're doing a women's empowerment session, not a self-defense session. If you're doing actual self-defense, you should have counselors on hand in case somebody gets triggered from trauma they have suffered. Because if you have a group of women, over half of the people in your group in the group taking your class will have had some form of trauma, will have been assault survivors. So teaching self-defense is not something that I would like to see beginning martial arts instructors doing. It actually scares me when I see them. I like to leave that to the people who truly understand how to teach self-defense. In my area, in my neck of the woods, I would go to someone like Randy King. I would highly recommend him because he has the tools to deal with everything that goes along with it. The first time I taught self-defense to women, I shit the bed. I was doing it at a women's shelter, but thank God there was lots of counselors on hand. This is not something for beginning instructors to do. I'd been instructing martial arts for years at that point, but I didn't truly understand what it was I was getting into. I have learned, and I do teach self-defense occasionally, but I hate doing it. It brings up personal trauma as well as trauma, secondary trauma, through people I have loved and cared for, through situations. It is an ugly thing to do, but it is an important thing to do. And if you're not ready to do that and you don't have the skills to do it properly, you should fucking stay away from it and leave it to people who have specialized in it, because you can do way more harm than you can do good. You can cause way more damage than you can help people. And if you're not ready to do that, don't do it. If you're doing a women's empowerment, label it as such. But if you want to do women's self-defense, bring in somebody like Randy King. Bring in somebody who understands it. Have counselors on hand. Talk about boundaries. Talk about lifestyle and choices, and how we can have safety nets put up through our family and friends. Talk about the broader spectrum of things. Don't just talk about kicking ass, because that's only like that much of self-defense. If you think that's what self-defense is, you don't understand. Leave it to the people who do understand. Or do some research, get ready, train yourself. Find people who will help you be better prepared in how to teach it. Martial arts is not self-defense. Combatives is not self-defense. If you believe it is, you do not understand what self-defense is. And you should stay the fuck out of teaching it, or you're gonna hurt somebody emotionally. I'm serious. Leave it to people who really understand it. It's very important. I have to add a little bit to this. If you are doing a women's self-defense program, then if your participant asks you what you think the best martial art is for them to train in to prepare for violence, and you say yours, you're likely lying to them. Be honest. Send them to something that will actually happen, like a good grappling program where they learn how to grapple against other people. Grappling is great because it teaches people to be able to defend themselves in really close distance, which is really important when it comes to women countering violence, because that's likely one of the situations they would have to face. Don't pretend that hyper-aggression and crazy amounts of violence will protect them, because keep in mind they're doing this to someone that they have mixed emotions about, probably a family member or their mate, their significant other. Don't think that just because they've gone to your class they're going to be able to turn on a switch and stab them in the eye and fucking cut their throat, because they're not going to be able to do that. If they ask you about martial arts, say it doesn't have much to do with self-defense. Martial arts is martial arts. Self-defense is self-defense. Your safety has more to do with you and the people that you choose to be around, and all that kind of stuff. And being able to assert your boundaries, being able to speak up for yourself. You know, there's a lot more to this issue than fighting. But yet, we martial artists will label combatives and martial arts as self-defense. And we gotta stop fucking lying about that. We gotta stop doing that. And if you are gonna teach a self-defense course, make sure you have all of the information available. Make sure you're ready to deal with ripping the band-aids off of deeply submerged trauma. Having someone just get triggered on your mats when you're doing this. If you're teaching self-defense and it's all good feelings and high fives, as I said, you're probably not teaching self-defense. Do it right, do it honest, and be prepared for what comes with it. One more thing. Don't fucking say size doesn't matter, because it does. Don't fucking say training is what's important, because it's not. The real important thing in violence is intent, physicality, size, aggression, willingness to do harm. Those are the things that matter. Your martial arts mean nothing compared to that. And be honest about that when you're talking to people. Be honest about that. This is why pugilism is so good. Because when you're a boxer, when you're a Nak Muay, you fucking smash people. When you are a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter, you wrestle full on. When you're a wrestler, a collegiate wrestler, you wrestle. When you're a hockey player, you smash people. When you're a football player, you fucking run into people. You know what it's like to be aggressive. If you think your martial arts measures up to that, and you don't do any of that shit, you don't understand violence, and you should not be teaching self-defense. Leave it to people who know. Thank you.